guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back at one of my favorite filming spot locations because guess what? We have that compact SUV that keeps getting better and better and surprising a lot of potential owners and the competition. This is it. This is a 2022 Hyundai Tucson. This particular one is the top limited trim, but it's also a plug-in electric hybrid version. But before we get into this all-wheel drive electrified Tucson, let's talk about what's going on here. Hyundai. They've been doing the business since the 1980s here in the United States. It's crazy to think that it's been 22 years since they first sold their SUV. Their first time to bring an SUV, a crossover SUV to market, it was the Hyundai Santa Fe. That is still in production. The Tucson would follow after it. And now you got the big boy, the Palisade. Now with this Tucson, it received a redesign just a couple years ago, and now what it's bringing is lots of variety of powertrain options. So not only are you getting some of the latest and greatest technology on the inside, but you're also getting some technology to extend that range of your driving. Now, when it comes to this class of vehicle, there is one competitor that really seems to be the hot seller. That is the Toyota RAV4 Prime, which shouldn't be a surprise because the RAV4 has been a top seller in this segment of the SUV portion of the auto industry for many years. But now that it has a plug-in electric hybrid version of its own known as the Prime, there's just so hard to come by. Another competitor would be from Ford, believe it or not, with the Ford Escape. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this compact crossover SUV that has some electrification from Hyundai and see, is it the better one to buy over a RAV4 Prime or a Ford Escape plug-in electric hybrid? Let's go ahead and dive in and find out. Right off the bat, the style. You're definitely not going to confuse this Tucson with the competition, especially with the redesign. And it all starts at the front end of the business. So as we kind of swing around and we take a look at this corner area, you'll notice that because this is a limited trim, you're getting LED lighting. So you're going to get the lighting that actually flows into the corners here from the grille. This is going to be your LED daytime running lamps. And then you got your turn signals. And then what Hyundai has been slowly doing throughout their whole lineup of SUVs is taking the headlight housing from up top and bringing it to the lower portion. So you're going to have this lower area, full LED, and that's going to be your headlights. We do have functional corner air curtains, which is nice. And I do like the aggressive style from the front, and definitely with the way that they did the grille with the daytime running lamps. Like I said, you're not going to confuse this with the competition. On the lower end, you'll see the dark chrome finish. That is part of the limited trim. Limited is going to be your top trim. A little bit of flat black and a little bit of silver. Now, as we come across that front grille, this is a design that you'll see. You look at the Santa Fe, you look at the smaller Kona, and the even smaller Venue has this very similar grille design. I do like the way they went dark chrome on the Hyundai badge, dark chrome on all the finish, and look at how they hid the forward-facing camera very nicely, super clean right within that design. You'll notice on this new Tucson, it's all about geometry. It's all about the geometric shapes. I think it's one of those love it or hate it affairs kind of at the front end. If you compare this to the RAV4, RAV4 is going to have a cleaner design, but still look very contemporary. The Escape is the one that kind of looks a little on the bland side. But we'll talk about power and, of course, fuel savings in a little bit. Now, on the lower end, you do have functionality in the center here. Flat black, so this will take a better beating. And I do like the way it's all open, but the way that they kind of wrap that grille around definitely gives this Tucson a sportier look over the previous Tucson. Now, when we get up onto that low slung hood, you'll notice how the hood meets nicely with the top of the grille. You have an indentation in the center, and then everything's going to kind of just curve nicely towards the windshield. As we swing it around and come in on our wheel and tire setup, what are we going to get on our limited trim? So you're going to get actually these 19-inch wheels, very interesting design with all the ornamental kind of work that they did to each of the spokes. Machined aluminum, 235 on the width, 55 series sidewall, and you get those Michelin Primacy tires. These are the tires that help get extra range out of these plug-in electric hybrids and electric vehicles. You'll notice the flat black. I wish they would have painted this. On the limited trim, this should be all painted, but you'll also notice how they brought some design into that fender just to give it a little something extra. And you'll notice that when we get to the rear, it kind of blends in, but very hard edge on the body line. Let me know what you think, if this should all be painted or if you like it just flat black. The good news is it doesn't go up too high. And if you look at the competition, both the RAV4 Prime and the Ford Escape plug-in electric hybrid both have flat black around the fender openings. Now, as we come down the side and we kind of swing around, you can see the size. It's interesting how compact really doesn't mean squat anymore. Used to be a time where compact was compact. Now a compact vehicle is getting larger and larger, just like the rest of the different categories. Subcompact, midsize, it's all getting really muddy. But the good news is I still think it's a good size, not too big, not too small, kind of like the Goldilocks of the SUV lineup. You do have painted mirror caps. We do have LED turn signals on these mirrors. And as we kind of zoom in, you can see how this particular one, being a limited trim, does have, of course, your 360-degree camera. So really nice. And then right underneath that, look at this weird, interesting design that they brought in the bodywork, how it comes from the fender, teardrops into the door panel, and then comes to a point and then wham, goes all the way down. This is what I'm talking about. Like, if you got an A in geometry, you're probably gonna like the design of this vehicle. I weep for the body shop guys that are gonna have to repair these things once they get banged up, because all these lines are not gonna be easy to keep straight. As you come to a point, another point comes up, and then that's gonna run down the side of the vehicle. You do have the flat black that kind of extends out on that side sill, color matched on the door handles, and then of course gloss black on the roof rails. I do like the way you got the dark chrome finish just on the top, because as we work our way back, look at how it kind of flares out nicely into this trim piece. And if you notice, the way that they did the design here is actually very similar to what is down on the fender. So as we kind of swing it around, remember how I told you the design of the fenders up front match what's on the back? You could see that design, they actually dropped in the DOT required reflectors. Nicely done. Love the way you have that nice aluminum trim flares out into the rear glass area. And then the one part that I love about the back of this Tucson is no rear wiper. On the RAV4 Prime, you have a wiper. On the Escape, you have a wiper. And when I say wiper, it's exposed. This does have a wiper. It's nicely tucked in underneath this long roof spoiler. You got the Hyundai badge. Everything is clean. You see, this is why I zonked those wipers, because without it, it's just very clean. Flows nicely. They did a great job on the LED taillights. Kind of looks a little bit like a Mach-E. Let me know if you think I'm crazy on that. Kind of looks like a Mach-E, but you do have LED lighting all the way across. The Tucson badge, H-Track. So you got your H-Track badge, and then you got the plug-in badge, because obviously this is an electric plug-in vehicle. And then working our way down all the way at the bottom, you do have a nice clean rear diffuser. I like the way they brought that geometric design into this back portion instead of making it look like a vent, and just really clean at the back. No exhaust. I mean, you have your exhaust, but it's not really dangling down too low. Why don't we go ahead though? Why don't we pop the hood and see what's powering our Tucson? All right, guys, we got the hood popped. Now you do have a prop rod, but I'm not gonna zonk it because both the RAV4 Prime and the Escape have prop rods as well. What I like about Hyundai's though is that it's all the way against the firewall on the passenger side. So it gives you a nice bird's eye view. When you pop the hood, you might have some people get surprised and wonder, what's all this orange stuff? Well, that's what we have. We have that hybrid plug-in setup. So what are we looking at exactly? First of all, pretty tasteful engine cover. I mean, I've seen worse. I've also seen better. But you're looking at a 1.6 liter turbocharged inline 4. It has an electric motor at the rear axle, but this is not like the RAV4 hybrid or Prime where there's no mechanical drive shaft. This has a mechanical all-wheel drive setup. So you do have a drive shaft, but you have the motor out back for that H-Track system. With the turbocharged 1.6 liter inline 4 and the electric motor, you're looking at 261 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. The great news is it's mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission, not a CVT. We got the mechanical H-Track all-wheel drive, like I said, 0 to 60 in 7.1 seconds. Here's where you're gonna get the savings. First of all, you get 33 miles of pure EV off the lithium ion battery pack. MPGEs, you're looking at 87 in the city, 74 on the highway, and 80 MPGEs combined. The vehicle does weigh 4,179 pounds. Now, if you're comparing this to the Prime is gonna smoke check it. 0 to 60 in about 5.4 seconds, 94 MPGEs combined. But there's a catch to the RAV4 Prime, and we'll talk about that once we get inside. Ford Escape, a little bit better on the competition. 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds. So it is slower than this Tucson, but it's still beating it combined. 105 MPGEs from the Ford Escape plug-in electric hybrid. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire this up and hear what kind of sound it makes for pedestrian warning and see it in motion. All right, guys, we're inside this Hyundai Tucson. I want to show you, though, where you actually plug it in. So being a plug-in electric hybrid, there is your plug-in port. And then, like I said, you could do up to 33 miles worth of charging. But why don't you come on in, because the water is pretty nice in here. It's a nice temperature. Why is it a nice temperature? Because I got the air on. But anyways, I know you're saying to yourself, Joe, you're starting to actually answer these questions I have. I've been wondering, what the heck is a hybrid, a plug-in electric hybrid, and an electrified vehicle? So whenever you hear plug-in, if it's a hybrid, then this is what you get. If it's just a plug-in and it's a full EV, then there's no gas engine. This has an internal combustion engine. But anyways, I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been looking at the Prime, the RAV4 Prime. I noticed some dealership in California had it marked up $40,000 over sticker. They wanted $94,000 for the vehicle. I don't see many escapes. I'm going to check into that. But how much is this one, Joe? Tell me, because I really need a new compact SUV. Well, here I am with the goods. So RAV4 Prime, like you already noticed, $54,000 MSRP. Escape plug-in electric hybrid, the top titanium trim, that's going to be around $50,000. Now I know I got you excited, because you know Hyundai brings the values. MSRP on this particular one, right around $44,000. So quite a bit difference when it comes to price. Let's see what you get. To the door panels. On the top limited trim, classy looking door. You got a little bit of soft touch material. That gloss black is not going to bother anybody. Some silver trim. And then I'm actually digging the beige. I'm not really a beige kind of guy, but I'm digging the two-tone. What I am going to zonk is the cloth. Why, oh why did they put cloth around that top portion of the door panel? And the gloss black around the switch gear is just really, really thick. They really laid that on thick there. So you're going to get a lot of fingerprints, but the armrest is soft. Door pocket is on the tight side. So maybe just a regular McDonald's hamburger. You can't get a Big Mac in there. It's not going to happen. You're going to get the special sauce all over yourself. And you can get a bottle of Surge to wash it down. We got the Bose sound system. And then going from the door panel to the dash, you could see how they brought the flow into the dash area. Silver trim. The AC vents, they hid really well. You hear that? I feel like I'm scratching records. I'm not really digging this. I wish they would have just left this soft touch material. You got the beige. You do have pockets on the side. So if you have, I would say 3 bananas, if you're trying to load up on potassium, that would be a great place to put your bananas. And then guess what? There's nothing but bananas in the center when it comes to technology. I'm going bananas because you got a 10.25-inch infotainment system screen. Let me know if you like the way that it's actually mounted within the dash, or would you rather have something like the RAV4 Prime, which is that floating iPad, navigation, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. Of course, it's a touchscreen. You could go in that plug-in electric hybrid, see how everything is working there. Tells you your range, energy information. I do need to plug it in. I've been driving it. I need to plug it in. Shame on me. But at least it tells you that. And then there's plenty of icons to swipe through. Lots of different settings. You got quiet mode, valet mode, all that good stuff. And then you get right back to where we started. Throw it into reverse. Very clear on the resolution. You got your 360, you got trajectory. You could even change the camera angles for Pete's sakes. So they really got you covered there. Nice technology. A lot nicer than the Escape and the RAV4 Prime. And then we're right back to park. And then here we are in the middle of nowhere. There's JCPenney's. Steven is going to go there to get some special mods for his Type R. But anyways, if you notice, there's no physical buttons. So let me know how you feel about that. You actually have to press the gloss black area, which I'm not loving. I'm not loving, especially on a sunny day. Same thing with the AC controls. You do have physical controls, but they're not like a nice knob or a switch. I'd rather have a knob or a switch, but you do get dual climate, which is very nice. And it is integrated, super clean. Down below, USB-A's. Flip that bad boy up. That's where you're going to put a 12 volt. Flip it down. You got a place here. I would say 2 candy bars, 3 Musketeer, maybe a Twix, a couple Twixes. And then you do have wireless charging. The weird thing is your wireless charging pad goes against here. I wish it was down here because when you get on the brakes, it's going to go flying right into your 3 Musketeers and squish it. More gloss black. I just don't know what we're going to do about this gloss black, guys. I wish there was a different material we could have. Maybe more of the silver. But you do get 3 stages of ventilated seats and 3 stages of heated seats. So they got you covered there. Heated steering wheel, hill descent control, 2 cup holders, drive mode selector switch. You can lock the center diff. And we have our EV. That when you want to go pure EV for 33 miles, you hit that button. Push button transmission. Remember, 6-speed automatic transmission. The other 2 have a CVT. 2 cup holders. There's your key fob. Of course, it has the Hyundai badge because we're in a Hyundai. Flip it around. We do have Smart Park. So if you park in a spot and somebody parks right on top of you, you could actually drive the vehicle in and out of the spot all by hitting the buttons and remote start. Nice soft touch with the stitching. Open this bad boy. Look at this. You got so much room in there. You could probably fit, I would say, 2 6-inch subs from Subway. So if you're not into the Mickey D's, you don't want that small burger, and you need more food, 2 6-inch subs, get them nicely wrapped. Maybe even put a nice macadamia nut cookie in there. Maybe 2 of them. Nice and warm, fresh. Seats, these are fresh. The leather, perforated material, a little bit of silver trim, nice bolstering, large cushion on the bottom. You do have power electric assist for the passenger and the driver. But wait, there's more. Full panoramic sunroof with the shade, and it's an opening sunroof. So it's not just your piece of glass, it's the whole shabam, 1-finger operation. Look, Mom, no hands. Why don't you come over here, though? I want to show you behind this funky, yes, I said the word, funky looking steering wheel in this Tucson. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel. You do have 2 memory seat settings, and I like the way they actually took the buttons and hid it within the trim. That, to me, is nice, smart, clean design. Other than that, you got your seat controls, easy to get to, the lower lumbar, very, very important. I'm 6 feet tall. Even with that panoramic sunroof, I got plenty of room. And then the steering wheel. It is a unique shape. I like it better than the Sonata. I'm still not totally in love with it. I wish they would do something a little bit nicer with the horn button, especially because we are in the limited trim. But you do have some gloss black and some silver. You do have paddles on the back of the steering wheel because remember, we have a 6-speed automatic, and it is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then the dash, you do have another 10.25-inch display. So RAV4 Prime has 7 inches. And then you got the analog gauges. The Escape does have a digital screen, but this one is a lot cleaner, nice graphics, and then you got the different information you could scroll through in the center. And then watch this, you ready? Mode time, snow, smart, sport, and eco. But you know us, we're gonna keep it in sport. And then on top of that, we have our corner cameras for the turn signals. That to me is the best piece of technology that's come around in a very, very long time. The other 2 brands do not have that. So you are gonna get a digital display in the Escape. RAV4 7-inch with the analog gauges. It matches nicely. And it's crazy because there's no hood. You think you get glare? There's no glare though. It's some kind of weird voodoo they're doing over at Hyundai. But let's get in the back seat and see how your passengers are gonna enjoy cruising down the road in this Tucson. All right guys, backseat time. One thing I wanna point out before you come all the way in is Hyundai is now putting their seat heater button for the rear seats right near the switchgear for the windows. So kind of nice that it's out of the way, really cleans up the command center. The back of the seats though, you do have the soft material, but then you do have this hard plastic. Now the good news is if you have kids, I could see somebody had a kid back here because they've been kicking the heck out of the seat. I don't know about you, but my dad would definitely give me something to cry about if I was kicking the seat while he was driving. That would be a big no-no. I probably wouldn't see the light of day for at least a month, so, or at least be able to walk straight or sit down for a while, if you catch my drift. They do put these cargo nets, and I'm not a big fan, so I am gonna zonk them. Somebody told me a long time ago, and I don't know if this is true, the reason why they do this is so if there's something all the way down here that's small, you can still see it. I don't know, that's kind of like a lame excuse. If you have any daggers, blades, or swords, you won't be able to put them back here because they will rip right through this. So try to think plush softness, maybe a Care Bear, maybe a glowworm, something like that. Just slide it in. I'll slide on over. Steven's gonna slide on in. We do have our AC vents, nicely placed. You do have 2 USB-As, so that's another nice touch. And even with the lithium-ion battery pack, I don't feel squished back here. And that actually feels really nice. How about this? Ugh. Whoa, what is that, a bug? Ooh. Ooh. Anyways, nice, we keep on rolling here. Nice armrest. It's not Charmin soft though. It's more like Scott's single ply toilet paper. So at least it's got a lot of real estate, 2 cup holders, and then wait, watch this. Nice recline. This is really, really nice. I like the way they recline far back to where you could just have a nice, relaxing, just kind of like a nirvana experience while you're meditating in the back seat. Then you pick it right back up. That goes back. But if you're ready, let's go in the cargo area and see if there's any compromises in an electrified Tucson. All right, guys, cargo area time. Now on the limited trim, you do have a power lifting rear tailgate. So you hit that button. It's a little on the slow side, but you know what? It gets there eventually. One thing I like about the Tucson is that it's not too high of a lift to get things from ground level into the back cargo area. Now on the driver's side, there is a convenient 12 volt placed right there. There it is. Don't stick your finger in there. It's gonna hurt kids. You'll also notice that we have handles, and I'll show you what those do in a split second. But you got over 30 cubic feet of space. We do have the seats reclined all the way back. I wanted to show you that because you know that your kids are gonna wanna be chilling like a villain in the back seat. They're not gonna wanna sit upright. They hunch over at their computers. They hunch over while they walk around. They're just a bunch of hunches. But the great news is that those seats can go into a higher position. What's underneath the cargo floor? Pick it up. You got, of course, your charging capability. You're gonna pull this out and plug it in. You don't have a spare. You have a tire mobility kit. So no spare, but the great news is you could fill this up with guacamole and have 2 different kinds of tortilla chips. You could have like that blue tortilla chip, and then you could have your regular traditional, more like a nacho chip, and then just fill that up with guacamole. And when you're at the beach, you just sit back here and you go to town. Speaking of going to town, we could actually get more room back here and go to town. Watch this. We're just gonna pull those handles, 1 on each side. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. They fold down very nicely. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, how come they're not flat? I'll show you, watch. I kind of like it and I kind of don't. I don't like the way I got to come over here, but the good news is they actually lock into place. Haven't you ever had that where like the heavier thing is back here and the lighter portion is up here and it's like flopping around and you're like, what the hell's going on here? They lock into place. That's smart. What's even smarter is having the flexibility of that room. I mean, nice and wide. You could go to Costco, knock yourself out, and get everything that you need in 1 trip. Why make 2? Costco's already a pain in the butt just making 1 trip. Hit that button. It's gonna go down eventually. Hopefully it doesn't hit me in my back. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get plugged in and go on throttle in this Tucson. All right, guys, we're behind the wheel of this 2022 plug-in electric hybrid Hyundai Tucson. I have it in sport mode. You can see the energy flow, and we're gonna go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. 6-speed drops down. It's a little on the slow side, dropping down, but once you get rolling, we're off to the races. So you can see that energy flow portion of the dash illuminated, showing how that power is going to the battery. We got those wonderful blind spot corner cameras. That really makes driving this compact SUV so easy because it really handles the blind spots. I'm gonna go ahead and stop, come to a complete stop once again. Nobody's behind us, so don't worry. If you're ready, I'm ready. Here we go. On throttle. Surprising a little bit of tire chirp there, especially from an all-wheel drive vehicle, but that just shows how the H-Track system works in this particular application. Visibility is great. The good news is you don't really feel the engine turning on and off when you're driving normally in traffic situations. So that's the good news. It is a smooth operation. Seats are comfortable. You got all the great technology that you want in here, especially compared to a RAV4 Prime or the Ford Escape plug-in electric hybrid. And then getting out onto the highway, this is really where you're going to enjoy this vehicle, because you're now going to be able to go further on a tank of fuel than you ever have been in any Tucson before this. And you want the seats to be comfortable because obviously now that you're going the further distance, you're not going to be getting out as much to stop for gas. So that's the really good news about this Tucson. But on the highway, drives really nice. There's a bit of wind noise that I'm not loving, but that's going to be the difference between a Genesis product and a Hyundai product. But as you can see, like I told you, without having a hood over the gauges, it actually does not have any glare, and the sun is shining right in. So very, very cool how they have that place there. There's just something that kind of bothers me, like I gotta focus a little too much when adjusting radio controls or AC controls, just because there's no actual physical button. There's physical places to touch, but you really gotta be spot on the money when you're touching it, or you're gonna hit the wrong thing. That to me is a little busy, but other than that, the seats are nice. The bottom cushion is nice and long, so somebody with longer legs like myself feels more comfortable. If you're not feeling sporty and you want to be a little smarter, say you failed geometry class and you need help with that, you can put it into smart mode. That's going to get you the best range. Go back to sport or eco, and you actually feel the difference between the different modes. That's kind of cool how that plays out. You can see now how the energy flow is working back and forth between the two. You get off throttle and now it's charging. Really cool to have that kind of technology in the readout, and I think Hyundai does a really great job of displaying it so that it makes sense to you. You could also scroll through and do the all-wheel drive. Like when I go on throttle, it actually sends power to the rear. So this is front-wheel drive based, but when you go on throttle, it will send power to the rear wheels. And that is a mechanical differential. You have a differential that runs underneath the vehicle to power those rear wheels, whereas the RAV4 Prime does not. It just has the electric motor. But nice light feel to the steering. Good placement of everything on the steering wheel as well when you want to scroll through that center screen. And I really think that this is definitely one you want to check out, especially if you're trying to keep at a certain price point. Those RAV4 Primes get very pricey, especially with the dealer markup, where with these Tucsons, you're going to be able to come in. I know a lot of local dealerships that sell them at sticker. So I know it's a different day and age where we used to get things below sticker, but when you get something at sticker now, it's like a victory. So I think you should definitely put this on your list and check it out. Exterior styling is one of those things, I think you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. And beauty is really in the eye of the beholder, so it's up to you at the end of the day. But hopefully this has been a nice overall review of the Tucson plug-in electric hybrid. I hope you got the info that you needed, but we're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been an electrifying kind of day with this Tucson plug-in electric hybrid. I definitely gotta thank everybody over at Hyundai for allowing us access to this press fleet vehicle. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Hyundai Tucson with that plug-in hybrid technology brings the best value, the best bang for the buck? Or are you gonna spend more, go the RAV4 Prime, or are you just gonna scratch all that and go with the Ford Escape plug-in electric hybrid? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. We got to give it up to the guy who electrifies everybody's lives with the camera, with the angles, with the action. Show Stephen Flood some love in that comment section. Follow him on Instagram, Stephen Flood Photography. Thank you, Stephen, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.